Okay, just when I thought Project Road Glide was going to be finished, I've decided that there's just a little bit more that I want to do. And this has to do with putting a little illumination on the Road Glide. And so what that has to do with is I am going to change out the turn signals that I have for both the front and the rear. There is one thing that Harley just seems to be sticking close to, and as much of the innovations that they have made with design, their infotainment system, engines, even improvements with the suspension, although that has, in my opinion, has not necessarily been one of the things that they've paid a whole lot of attention to, but still there have been some improvements. But the one thing that they just stick close to is those old style turn signals that they have on the bikes. It is just nothing more than a filament bulb that's in there that they've had in there for well, decades, quite literally for decades. So there's a lot of improvements out there in the lighting industry when it comes to, well, cars, motorcycles of all manufacturers, but particularly for Harley, and they're relatively inexpensive. So there's really no reason not to make that upgrade, because the difference in illumination, pardon the pun, is the difference between night and day. Just going from a filament bulb to an LED type of lighting system is just a huge amount of difference. And I mentioned it before when I was putting this LED light on the top of my tour pack right here in one of my other videos is, visibility has to be the thing that you have to be most concerned about nowadays when you're out there riding motorcycles, because people are just so distracted. And the amount of times that somebody has run into the back of a motorcycle is just, it's countless. I'd like to see a study done. I know that it has been done of injuries and deaths and everything else because of people not paying attention. So for us guys that ride, what we want to do is make sure that we have as much illumination as we can. Now, I try to draw a line because you can definitely, just cover up the whole back of that bike and even the front of it with so much lighting it looks like a Christmas tree coming down the road. I don't want to do that. I know that you can really see those bikes, but I don't want to go down that road. But what you definitely can do is improve on what Harley's got going on with those filament style bulbs. You can replace those out with LEDs. And so that's what I am going to do today. And so what I have chosen to use is I picked up a set of Ciro Fang front turn signal light inserts. And this is going to be for the front. And the advantage that you're getting there is you are going to have a continuous white halo that you're going to have that's going to be operating on the front all the time. And then when you turn your turn signal on, it has an amber center that will come on and act as your turn signal. Both of those portions of that light, the functions of that light, is all LED. And then in the rear, you're going to have a red halo that's going to be operating all the time. And then you'll have an internal portion of it that will operate as a brake and a turn signal. Once again, much brighter than your standard filament that you have on there now. So let's do a before comparison before I put these on so we can kind of see what it looks like, and then I'll do another one after I put these on, and we'll see whether or not it was worth it or not. This is the first time that I've ever gone with Ciro. The Street Glide that I had was an 06. I did a lot of stuff on it. I was pretty much done doing what I wanted to do on my Street Glide by about 08 or so. And I don't recall this company being around then. Maybe I just didn't look that much. I always used Karaoke for the most part when I was doing lighting improvements to my bike. They're also very reputable. I am not here advertising for either one of these guys. They don't pay me anything. My YouTube channel isn't successful enough at this point to garner any advertisement from anybody. So I'm just giving you my impressions of things that I'm doing to my motorcycle and companies that I've used in the past. And I've seen some other cool kids on YouTube that have motorcycle channels, and they do product reviews and all that kind of stuff. And I was watching a couple of them the other day, and I like these lights. I like the way they look. I went onto their website, checked them out, and they look like a quality product. And I can't wait to put them on. I think it's going to be a vast improvement to the existing lighting that's on there. And we'll see what they look like. So let's do a comparison here real quick before I put these on and see what it looks like. Okay, so here's kind of a side angle so that I'm not pointing the camera directly into the headlight, and hopefully we're picking this up. But so there's what the turn signals look like on there now. I mean, you can see them, and they run a constant amber. So, I mean, visibility is okay, but let's see what they're going to look like once we get the LEDs on there. Let's look at the back real quick. Okay, so there's the back. It looks okay, but let's see what it looks like once we get the LEDs on the rear. Okay, so here they are unpackaged. These are the front ones. This is an all plug-and-play system, so I am just going to pop the lens off of the original turn signal. I'm going to take the filament bulb out. I'm going to put that plug right there in the bulb's place. I'm going to kind of shove everything up in there again, and I'm going to pop this back into place, and you can see that it has tabs on there that takes up the original tab positions on the original lens. So there won't be a lens that's going back on. This unit right here is the lens. So so the bulb and the lens will be put in a drawer somewhere, but completely 100% plug and play. So a very solid little unit, and let's get them in. I can't wait to see it. All right, so first things first, what we want to do is we want to get this lens off, and then we'll get the bulb out, and then we can insert the LEDs. So there's a slot on the side of these. May just be those two, but I know there's one over here and there's one over here. Not really going to be able to get to that one, so should be able to just put your screwdriver in there, give it a twist. Once it comes loose a little bit, you can kind of pop it. It comes right off. You can see that it has these tabs around it, and then the LED, the plug and play from Ciro, also has these same tabs, so it's going to get pushed in just like this lens did. Go in there to the filament, push it in, turn it counterclockwise, it comes out, we're good to go. Alright, so we'll do the other side. Okay, so we got the other ones out, and now we are going to put these in. A complete 100% plug and play, so we are just going to take that connector right there, we're going to put it right back in where the light went. We're going to rotate it in there. We're going to kind of fold the wire up a little bit so that it doesn't pinch, and then we're going to shove that thing right back in, and then that's it. So let's put this in. Now, another thing to keep in mind here is that since you don't really have a bulb on here that you can hold on to and push it in and turn it, what they do is they provide you with a slot right there so that you can use a screwdriver so that you can push that in and then rotate it. So let's do it that way. Alright, so we're in. Let's rotate this wire around in here a little bit so that it's not going to pinch. And the other thing to keep in mind on this is you can see that it's a little bit thicker up here on the top than it is on the bottom. So this portion up here, that's what you want on the top of this housing. So you don't want it sitting here like this, because then it has it kind of pointing up. So if you rotate it around where this thick part is on the top, then that's going to have it pointing straight out. So that's just a little bit of a design feature in there. So you just kind of roll this wire around a little bit in there so that it's not going to pinch, and then pop it in place. Alright, now everything that I've read about these says that this is a tight fit to put it on there, so it might take a little bit of an effort. Let me make sure it's about where I want it, and then we're gonna pop right into place. And then you can rotate this a little bit once it's in there, but it takes a little bit of leverage to get that thing on there. Alright, that's it. Plug and play. That one's on. Let's do the other one. Almost snapped my finger on that. Word of caution in there. When you snap that thing in there, be careful your thumb's not in there. Alright. Got those two front ones on. Awesome. Let's go to the back. Okay, so now we'll do the rear ones. And all we're doing is we're just lining up these small little tabs right here. You got one there, and you got one here. Now, the difference between the front and the back on these is that these tabs, see how on the back one, let's see if we can get close enough here for you, the tab is sitting a little bit higher than it is on this side. So they're offset just slightly. So that's what you're trying to do when you put this in, is you're going to take those little tabs right there and you're going to put them in the appropriate slot. And you don't have to gorilla these at all. It's either going to go right in or it's not going to go right in. You'll know it. You can almost do it by hand, except that you just can't get a grip on it, so you do have to use that slot. You got the thicker part of the slide is going to be on the top. Let's get a good grip on it. Get your flesh out of the way. I did pinch the crap out of my thumb on that front one, I really did. Okay, so there you go. It's in there. Okay, I got those lights on there. Pretty simple process. It's just plug and play. Just be gentle. Snap those things into place. And then we're going to check them out here in just a second and do a comparison from before. Let's look at the back ones here real quick. Right, and of course I didn't mention it initially, but I of course went with the black bezel on there as opposed to the chrome. They come in black and chrome, and of course my housings, my light housings, are black, so that was the way that I wanted to go. But very simple installation. You just want to be careful when you're snapping these into place like I did, because they will bite you a little bit. So now I know why they call them Fang. But anyway, as far as the whole installation process, very, very painless. So let's just turn them on and look at them real quick. All right, so what we see there is the white halo. So that's just going to be a continuous white light. I like that. That's just a lot more visibility. It doesn't really act like a spotlight, but that has got to give you a lot of peripheral lighting at the same time. Easy for me to say, right? But yeah, even though that's not operating as a spotlight, it's got to give you some additional lighting out to the side when you're going down the road. So I like that continuous white light that's on the front. That's offering a lot of visibility from the front side. And then, yeah, those LEDs in the back, that's nice. Wow, those are bright too. All right, very nice. Let's turn out the lights and see what they look like. All right, so I know I have the garage door open, but once again, just kind of stand off to the side here to keep it from drowning out the camera. But yeah, I mean that's a lot of visibility going down the road right there. I like that a lot. All right, let's look at the back. Of course, we have pretty much the same view from the back because I'm standing outside a little bit, but yeah, very nice. Let's do some turn signal stuff and see how that looks. Okay, we got those on there. I am happy with those. I like the visibility that you're getting off of those new lights, those Ciro Fang turn signals that I put on the front and the back. And I definitely like the visibility. I like how easy it is to put them on. It's just a plug and play. Now, I do want to say one thing to you. There is a precaution. Well, it's not really a precaution, but in the directions that they give you, and I will say this about the directions, very good directions, by the way, but there is one section that after you get these lights turned on, that they tell you to turn the ignition on, operate the turn signals, and then look at your turn indicator that's on your dash. And if that turn signal on your dash is operating very, very rapidly, that doesn't necessarily mean that your turn signal out here is operating rapidly. This one out here might be just sitting there and going at a normal rate. But the one up here on your dash may just be sitting there going crazy. Mine was. So when they do that, if that happens to you, then there's two procedures that they give you to fix that. One, I can go up underneath the seat and I can disconnect the negative terminal on the battery and leave it off for a minute or so, I think is what the directions say. Or the other thing you can do is they tell you in the directions, operate your hazards for approximately 10 flashes. Disconnect it, operate the hazards again for another 10 flashes, disconnect it, use your turn signal, and see if it goes back to operating normally. This worked for me. Operating my hazards worked for me. So when I tested these just a minute ago, they were working fine out here. They were sitting there flashing the way that they were supposed to. But mine were sitting here going crazy up here on the instrument panel. That's not completely unusual when you put these LEDs on your bike. But for me, operating this hazard switch, the way that they told me in the directions worked. I will turn the turn signal on, and you can see that I have a normal rhythm basically on that turn signal. All right, so I put the Ciro Fang light inserts for my turn signals on my 2018 Road Glide Special. I like the way they came out. Installation was easy. There was just a little troubleshooting that I had to do there at the end, but I was able to fix it by using their instructions that they provided. And so another installment of Project Road Glide. On to the next job.